Hey, what's up guys, Sir Emanon here, and today we are back with Road to 1000 DuelingBook rating at long last. So, you guys definitely noticed that last format I did not upload regularly at all to this series, and that was of course due to the reasons that I have explained in previous videos, being real life obligations as well as just a general lack of interest in the format and the game as a whole. But as I've been playing a bit more and more recently, I've decided that I've gotten a lot more interested in the game again, and I really want to refamiliarize myself with the format, with the metagame, with all the cards, all the new cards that I missed out on, all the interactions, and really just re-immerse myself into the competitive landscape, even though we still don't really have events going on. So with that being said, of course, I think the best avenue to actually, demonstrate the growth process, if you will, would it be this series, and just by playing on DuelingBook and just playing in whatever events online that I can find, and just on my own free time and rated, of course. So that is what we are going to do. So you'll notice that this is still considered season 4, and you may have also noticed that season 4, which was the last format, the April format, only consisted of one whole video. So yeah, normally if you guys don't know, I have playlists that differentiate and separate each of the formats, and that's kind of how I sort of keep this series ongoing and just have it neatly organized if you guys want to check those playlists out. It makes it so that you can chronologically access everything, and it creates kind of a little time capsule for like what previous formats used to look like, which I think is pretty cool. But I'm not going to actually make a season 5 for this new June format because, for one, again, there was only one video in the last season, so not really much of a point. But also, I think that this is generally, I think most people can agree that the June format is largely just a continuation of the last format. It didn't really shake up a whole lot at all. Like, you'll probably see a lot of Altergeist because there's just always been a popular deck on DuelingBook, and with Faker going to 3, people are going to play that a lot more. So, I mean, like, that's, I guess, a little bit of a change, but as far as, like, the actual, top tier strategies that are going to be prevalent and persist throughout the metagame, not much is really going to change in that department. So I feel like it's just going to be a natural progression of how the format is going to develop with like new card releases and whatnot. So that is generally going to be the focus. So yeah, so this is going to just kind of be more of a learning process than ever before. Like obviously, the whole point of the series is to showcase not only the good plays that I make, but also the bad ones, just so that we can learn together as a community and as competitive players, because everybody makes misplays, even the top players do. So that is something to keep in mind, but also that is more true now than ever because, again, I was certainly absent from the game for quite some time, so I might be rusty on certain cards, like rulings, and again, just like everything that I missed, because there's a lot of moving parts to understanding the metagame. And I think that being out of practice for a while, like my fundamentals are still probably generally all right, but like the more niche stuff, you guys can definitely help me out on, and that's why I always appreciate your guys' comment and feedback, or comments and feedback rather. But I've rambled on long enough. Today we're going to be playing Dinosaur, and it's not the combo dino variant that I was testing around with towards the end of the last format, like before the ban list dropped. This is actually an adaptation of Popo's ban list. Or not ban list, excuse me, deck list. So yeah, if you guys don't know, Popo is a French player who played in the PPG championship, I believe it was a week ago, and he actually managed to get second place with a really cool barrier statue combo build of the deck, which I think makes a lot of sense in terms of how everybody's playing Halka for Brax, right? And so everybody's siding or maining cards to beat like those combos. So why not circumvent that entirely by playing a more standard, like a more steady, stable build that really just doesn't lose to a lot of things. So huge shoutouts to him. I didn't copy his deck list entirely, but I took huge inspiration from it. Like I definitely looked at it and was like, all right, what can I maybe like change a little bit just to mess around and see what I like, see what I don't like, and things of that nature. So the concept is entirely his. I do not take credit for any of it. If you want to see his deck profile, he actually has one up on, I believe, Bordel's channel. So I will actually leave a link to that in the description box down below. But we are playing that deck and that build specifically up against Machina Orcust, which is pretty interesting because obviously the Machina cards are some of the cards that I missed during the time I was away. But definitely those cards are very, very strong. I was commentating some of the PPG, or not PPG, sorry, the RCS matches, the Reddit Championship Series matches. If you guys aren't aware, I have some of those on my channel. But I do have knowledge of how those cards generally operate in terms of just being a good Earth Machine toolbox to eventually access Scrap Recycler and do that full combo. So yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and finally start commentating. So we are like 5 minutes in. I haven't actually gotten any gameplay footage in, but he's gonna go first by winning the die roll, I believe, and he opens up a return with a symbol, but otherwise not really a whole lot. So this return's gonna have to get him there. I don't open an Ash, so just gonna have to see what happens. And he draws another copy of return and a crescendo, so he's definitely bricked. He can't really do much at all. Just gonna have to pass. Our hand's very good. We have a myriad of different combinations that you can draw in this deck. You can draw like Archosaur plus Baby or Petite. You can draw Oviraptor plus Baby. You can draw Oviraptor plus Misk. You can draw Misk plus Archosaur. You can draw like Oviraptor plus Lost World even. It's not like the full Barrier Statue combo, but that combo still gets you places. So yeah, like there's so many 2-card combinations that work to get the ending board of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno plus the Barrier Statue, the Samorg Link, as well as Dolka, or technically any other rank 4, but Dolka is the one that allows you to just solidify your board against Nibiru, which the deck is actually already pretty resilient to Nibiru because the majority of the time you're comboing, you only have dinosaurs on your board that are protected under Miscellaneousaurs, so like you really can't get Nibiru a lot of the time, which is really another really good thing about this deck, which the Halkifibrax combos are gonna obviously naturally fall prey to. But Fossil Dig, of course, being just the sort of missing piece in the majority of your hands, is going to be very effective. And of course, the awesome thing about this build is that you can play Pot of Extravagance, which is just A, it's Ash bait, and B, it just gets you more access to your non-engine cards because you have room to play hand traps as well. So like you minimize your bricks. Like the only real brick is the Barrier Statue, and even then you can just summon it from your hand with the Samorg Link. And you don't have to play like Aolo, you don't have to play Quatless, you don't have to play any of the Halkifibrax tuners. Like everything is either a combo piece, or it's like the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, which is like the boss monster, or it's like a hand trap. So like it's a really solid deck, and I enjoy it a lot. I've been playing it a lot and rated, and I've been having a lot of fun. But anyways, Extravagance is gonna get ashed, which, like I mentioned earlier, like it really doesn't matter if you get ashed in a lot of cases. So here I add a Baby. You can even like normal summon Archosaur. Like all the time, like people consider Archosaur to be more of a bricky card, but you can normal it if you have Baby in hand. That's generally fine. He ends up scooping before I even get to play, but the line of play there would have been Archosaur to pop Baby to grab the pill, and then Baby would have summoned the Oviraptor, and then you would have been able to get like Miscellaneousaurus, pitch it, banish 2 to summon another Baby, make Link Reba with the Archosaur, and then use Over on the Baby, or Ovi on the Baby, and then just continue off from there. So that would have been that line of play. And there was certainly no 2K, like provided he just didn't have any interaction. So luckily for me, I actually knew he was on Orcust, obviously, because he played the return and he pitched a symbol, so it was very apparent what he was on. I figured that like there was a decent chance maybe he would make me start, just because like a lot of people still think that Dino is like a pure going second deck, but of course with Archosaur it's definitely not anymore. But he decided to go first, which was I guess in terms of how his build is set up, to be expected for sure, because the Machina cards are really strong at setting up. It's possible maybe he was playing Urgent Schedule like as a side for going second specifically, but I feel like in this matchup maybe he was thinking that he just didn't want to like play against a Dino board, which is fair enough. So he's going to start off with a redeployment, which allows you to pitch any card to search 2 Machina monsters with different names. So you get Irradiator and you get the Megaform. So Irradiator has a effect in hand to pitch any Machina to summon itself, and then it could target a Machina in grave and then destroy a targeted monster on your field. So yeah, it targets itself and then special summons the Megaform that you just pitched off of the Irradiator, and then it blows itself up and summons back the Megaform. So the Megaform contributes itself to summon the guy from deck. So it summons the Metal Crunch, which gets you access to your Scrap Recycler, because it's basically like a Tenacity of the Monarchs. So you reveal 3, and then you add the Recycler to your hand. So it's basically just a big roundabout way of searching Recycler, but it's pretty good because it leaves you an extra body on the board, so you have access to the Scrap Wyvern play. without having to commit like to jet synchron. Like you'll see, he's going to use jet synchron for a different reason. So he's going to normal the recycler and send the jet synchron because he already pitched the nightmare off of the redeployment. So he doesn't actually have to send any Orcust pieces immediately. He's going to go Scrap Wyvern. Scrap Wyvern is going to bring back the recycler and then pop the recycler, which triggers its other effect to bring out Golem from deck and then pop the Wyvern. And then Golem will target the recycler to bring it out, and then recycler will go ahead and send the World Wand. So at this point he has a pretty good setup. He's like one send away from pretty much having everything, being the symbol / Gizmek. So he makes a lib out of these two to get Succession, which brings back the Golem, which brings back Recycler. And here is contemplating, like, do I Nibiru here? Because like he could go into Appaloosa if he's playing it. But if like I do Nibiru him, he has Jet Synchron, plus he has Nightmare, and he has Wand. So like there's no real good time to Nibiru at this point, because of how he just immediately pitched the Nightmare off the redeployment. It made it so that like regardless of whenever I chose to Nibiru, he could just go into the Orcust play afterwards. So I just felt like it wasn't real. There was never really an opportune time to do it. But yeah, he's gonna send Symbol off of this recycler and then pitch the Citadel for the Jet Synchron, which he'll follow up with a Nightmare to send Gizmek, I believe. And then Wand will bring back the Orcust Nightmare. And this is how he's going to opt to use the Jet Synchron here, which is going to be for a Bloodlord Savage Dragon play. So here is absolutely a time where I have to Nibiru. Like if, I don't Nibiru here, I'm never going to be able to. And at this point, like it's the best chance I have because he already committed the Jet Synchron and he started like filtering through his Orcust stuff. Granted, he has Symbol plus Gizmek, so he's guaranteed to play regardless. But like if I don't Nibiru here, it's just gonna be sitting dead. So might as well at least get the body on my board so I can like maybe like make a push later with it. But yeah, Symbol will bring back the Nightmare, and like I said, he has Gizmek already. So notably, if he didn't have a Nightmare in his hand, he would have either foregone the Gizmek most likely or the Symbol, probably the Gizmek. So like assuming he pitched like maybe a random maybe like a second copy redeployment, say, instead of the Orcust Nightmare, one of his recycler sends would have had to have been for the Nightmare, right? So in that case, like this would have been a fine time to Nibiru, because then he wouldn't really have this Gizmek because he needs all the other cards. Like he needs to prioritize everything else. So the only way he would be able to recover is if he played Link Spider to act as a contingency for the Nibiru. But considering he did have the Gizmek access because he was like one send ahead of where he needed to be, so to speak, that made it so that like Nibiru was very ineffectual here. So like just understanding like what your opponent is trying to do, like specifically with their play, it helps kind of like understand like how to stop it better. But yeah, so even though I've been out of the game for a while, I still at least kind of like understand that basic sort of concept. So that like definitely has helped me in like trying to relearn the game. But yeah, Galatea is going to come down here, and we've seen this before. He's going to recycle the Jet Synchron to set a Crescendo. And he opts not to go for a Babel, so maybe he banished it off of the Gizmek. Yeah, he banished it off Gizmek. That's what I was thinking, like, as I was playing. I was like, oh, he could have gone for Babel and then made, like, Dingirsu. And, like, Dingirsu could have attached, like, probably the Symbol or the Wand. Either one, honestly, doesn't really matter. Then he could have gone for the Masquerena with Babel setup. So, like, that would have been an extra interruption. But this kind of telegraphed that he banished the Babel. So, yeah, this Galatea is indestructible by battle because it's pointing to the token. So I probably should have given the token to him like in his rightmost main monster zone, so the one like directly across from the Nibiru, and I should put my Nibiru in the rightmost zone, just so that Galatea wouldn't have that free protection. So it would have made like his Crescendo a lot more weak. Zone placement against Orcust is something that like I hadn't really come across in a while, because it was like obviously really important when Orcust was everywhere, and then I just forgot. But like I'm always accustomed to putting things in the leftmost zone to play around Longirsu, but I always forget to play around Galatea in these kinds of instances. But that's like a very minor point. So yeah, the reason why I want to showcase this match, obviously that game one wasn't very good, but this game is pretty good back and forth actually, and I felt like it had a lot of very, very cool stuff happen. So we got to see the whole Machina play, and we got to see it play through Nibiru. So my turn comes around, I try and activate Extravagance, that's going to be met with an Ash, and then I try to follow up with a Lost World, which he does let resolve. But then I'm going to go ahead and summon the Overraptor and then try and chain block it with the Lost World, which he also allows. I have to add Miscellaneous here because I don't really have any play. Like the other play maybe would have been Ascend Giant Rex, and like try and use Overraptor to target the token. But I mean, my thought process was like, I know he has Crescendo, so it's like maybe I can try and I don't know, maybe I could try to like activate Miscellaneous Source. And then like maybe that'll force Crescendo because then my Overraptor will be protected, and then I can like go battle phase to run over the token and then try and like destroy baby that way. But when I go and try to do this with Miscellaneous Source, you'll see that it gets called by the grave. So that's one too many interruptions for me, and that effectively just ends the turn. Like I still am able to go to the battle phase, but he's just going to Crescendo this baby. So yeah, like it's not really gonna do me any favors here. So I'm just attacking the Galatea just to do a little bit of damage. Because at this point I was convinced that I was just out of this game, but I just wanted to see what would happen. So yeah, main 2 comes around and I decide, not really a whole lot I can do. I'm just gonna pass. So Gizmic is gonna come down during the end phase. And he's going to draw for turn. And he draws a Scrap Recycler, which is a sick rip. It's really, really good. So yeah, he could send the Jet Synchron that he just put back, or whatever Orcust he has remaining in his deck. So yeah, he's going to normal. I figure, like, there's no real point in Veiloring. Like, he already has everything he needs, right? Like, theoretically, like, he could do whatever he wanted to. So yeah, he goes for a copy of Topologic Zeraboros. This Nibiru token notably is huge. I put it in chat, which you guys can't see, but it's 8200 attack and 5100 defense. So like this is a huge Nibiru token, and this Zeraboros is also huge because there's 26 Spanish cards, which means that it is on 8200 attack as well. So they're both on 8200. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm probably just dead here. He can't use Crescendo Engrave now because he summoned a Dark Cybers and which is not a Dark Machine, of course. He doesn't have anything to pitch for Jet Synchron, and I figure he's like running low on resources because he can't Gizmic. He only has 7 cards in deck. So I'm like, okay, maybe if I just Veilor this Zeraboros at the end of main phase 1, then like I might be able to actually live. Because like he didn't even summon Dingirsu to like try and send away stuff. He just went straight for it. So I figured, okay, maybe there's a chance here, because like here I'm assuming like if he's not going to like follow up Orcust plays, like if he wasn't like doing any Orcust plays prior to summoning Zeraboros, like he probably didn't have anything to send off Nightmare, right? He probably didn't have like another copy of Symbol. He didn't have like an extra copy of like Wand maybe. But yeah, he just proceeds to the battle phase. Attacks over the Nibiru token, or Nibiru rather, with the Nibiru token, dealing a fair amount of damage and also killing the Overraptor. And he tries to Gizmic and then realizes, oh wait, there's only 7 cards left in deck. So I actually live on 2100, which is like, I was not expecting this. So I'm like, okay, with this hand, like, I could probably just like attack the token and see what happens. I wasn't really like planning out the turn that much because I wasn't expecting to get this far, quite frankly. But here we are, we're actually living. And we draw another card that is not really going to add any value to our hand, but or seemingly so. But we actually have a pretty cool play here. So I don't want to summon the Baby Ceratosaurus. I consider if I want to summon a token here off the Lost World. I decide against it, but I just go ahead and go into battle phase, attack over the 0 defense token, use Lost World to protect it by destroying a baby, and then I summon an Overraptor off the baby, and then go ahead and add a Miscellaneous Source. So I'm like, okay, the biggest problem here is actually the fact that there's 2 8200 monsters, and how am I going to get rid of them? Because I can't like Book of Moon either of these with the Ultimate Conductor Tyrannos, so like I have to figure out a way to actually out this board. So Overraptor is going to punch over the Jura Egg token, the Lost World token. And then here in main phase 2, I'm like, okay, wait, what if I actually use the Zeraboros to just banish his board? and then try and set up with the barrier statue combo, because I actually didn't side out the barrier statue combo. I wasn't sure if I was going first or second, like I said at the start of this game, so I actually kept it in, which ends up being like pretty huge for me. So I actually pitch Miscellaneous Source and then banish it for 1 to grab the Orcust, which actually pops the Petite in hand, which ended up adding the value that I was talking about before. And then Zerberus actually triggered Chain Link 1 there to banish everything. And since my board is protected with Miscellaneous Source, my monsters don't get banished. So I have a full board set up here. I haven't used, I believe I haven't used Oviraptor yet. So Petite will go ahead and summon Pankratops. Then Oviraptor will target Baby to bring back the other Oviraptor, and Baby will summon out a copy of, I believe it was Giant Rex. He's just going to go ahead and use Crescendo. That's fine. And then we go ahead and link for Repidocus. And then we Evolution Pill, banishing the Giant Rex and any non-dino to get the Conductor Tyranno. This is like the basic combo, by the way. And I meant to put it in defense, but I misclicked. But yeah. Rex comes back, and then you can make a copy of Dolka or Logia. Wasn't sure if I can't remember if I was out of Dolkas or if I just chose to get Logia here. I think I just chose to get Logia because I was like, if there's any blowout card that he draws, it's going to be like, I don't know. It's probably just going to be like an orchestrated return or something. So I'm like, yeah, I'd rather not. So I go ahead and change the Oviraptor that was under the Repidocus into a Winged Beast to summon the Simorg Link, which just requires 2+ monsters, including a Winged Beast. So this is like a very, very easy combo to achieve. And normally, like, this would be a Dolka if you were like trying to play around Nibiru, so that like they can't Nibiru your Simorg Link and you still get to resolve it. So yeah, like it's really, really hard to Nibiru this deck because, like, as you saw, I was under Miscellaneous Source pretty much that whole entire time because Repidocus is a dinosaur, just happens to be a dinosaur, and I did have a non-dino in my grave in the form of Effect Veiler to, act as that fodder for Evolution Pill. Normally it's Link Rebo, but like even if they Nibiru you when you have Link Rebo for some reason, you can use a token just to go into Repidocus anyway, so you can't even Nibiru at that point. So it's very, very hard to Nibiru this specific version of the deck. Because either it'll be too late if you opt to go into Dolka, which you should if you're going first, or you're just under Miscellaneous Source protection the entire time, and it's really broken. So yeah, I end up on this entire setup off the back of Lost World and a Baby and a Petite in hand, which is pretty insane. So as Sam comes around, he draws the Dead Cosmic, and he misclicks because like he's trying to bring back Zerberus, but he can't because it activates the special summon itself. It doesn't like return to the field. It's not like Farfa where the monster just returns without like summoning itself. Like this specifically special summons itself after it was banished by its own effect. So because of the Wind Barrier statue, he actually can't do that, and he is effectively out of gas, and that is the end of that. So you can really see the strengths of this deck, because like you just have a lot of protection, like just being predominantly dino focused. So it means that your Miscellaneous Source is like even more effective than it normally already is, and being able to just play like really, really ignorantly, while also still being safe, is like a really huge asset. And I think that the fact that you can really flex into a lot of different things, like different boards, like you can still summon Pankratops off of Petite Pteranodon if you wanted to against like backrow decks. You can opt to play different rank 4s. Popo was playing Tornado Dragon, but I opted for Logia. But you could play like Dweller even, or you could play like different. You can play different monsters if you wanted to in your extra deck. But yeah, overall, I think this is like a really, really strong showcase of why this deck is good. There's a strong case to be made for this version of the build over like Haka for Brax combos, which I really thought were like the go-to, right? Because everyone's talking about how strong Haka for Brax is, but truth be told, like again, if it has a huge target on its back, people are going to side or main cards specifically for it. So why not just avoid the issue entirely and just go for something like this? I think it's like really, really good. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like as well as any thoughts or feedback in the comment section down below. Feel free to subscribe for more informative and competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content. If you want to, you can follow me on Discord, Twitter, or Twitch, all through links in the description as always. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll catch you in the next video. And yeah, I realized that my commentary lately hasn't been the greatest. I haven't really been too fond of my commentary, so I promise that I'll be picking it up. And I think that today's commentary was definitely better than it was like a week ago or so. But yeah, as I get back into it, it'll be a lot better, both in terms of the game as well as just YouTubing. But rambled on far too long. See you guys later.